Good morning, welcome back to the Football Terrace. Breaking news today that Paul Pogba is happy at Manchester United and he certainly sees himself staying beyond the length of his current contract. The reports have told us through Julien Laurent at ESPN, along with multiple other sources in the past 2 to 3 weeks, that Paul Pogba has an amazing relationship with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It's a very close relationship with the other coaching staff at Manchester United, and is happy to stay beyond the end of his current deal. Manchester United, of course, play in the second leg tie against Roma tonight to try and secure their second Europa League final since Paul Pogba joined the club back in 2016. And this news comes at the most, I think, a very important moment for Manchester United. There is turmoil and there is a clash and there is issues between the Manchester United fans and the owners of the football club. But we are starting to see more stability on the field of play. Paul Pogba, we know what an integral part of Manchester United he is. And a lot of Manchester United fans feel as though they would understand if he left. Does the club genuinely have the ambitions to reach the top? Do we have the coaching staff that are good enough to get us to the top? Do we have the squad that is good enough to get us back to the top? I think Paul Pogba is answering a couple of questions there to us, or at least giving us something to ponder and think about. He is telling us, I'm happy with the coaching staff. I'm happy with the manager. I love how I'm treated. I've got a great relationship with my teammates. And we're starting to see Manchester United click. The performance against Roma in that first leg almost felt like it all clicking and coming together. The performances and the growth over the past 12 months have been imperative. A new deal for Paul Pogba also represents very good business for both. Paul Pogba has quite openly stated via his representatives that if he didn't get a move this summer, he wouldn't be upset or angry because he's happy at Manchester United. So a new deal poses two options here that can benefit Man United and him. One, Paul Pogba for the next 12 months gets a pay rise. Paul Pogba for the next 12 months can be told, give us your all, we'll show you that we're serious, we're after big signings, we're going to move forward again. Sign the new deal, and then when the new deal kicks in, if you don't see the progression, we'll sell you, we'll make a profit, or we'll get a return on our investment. You'll get your move anyway, and you know that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to honour that. It protects all parties. And I think if this deal does go through, of course, a massive well done and thank you and congratulations to Paul Pogba, because he deserves it. One of the very best midfielders in the world. But also Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, who has managed this situation impeccably. One of the reasons there is such a close bond between Paul Pogba and Ole has been Ole's ability to separate the business and the commercial element of the game from the individual player himself. And it's something that Paul Pogba seemingly respects massively. So on hearing this news this morning and obviously sharing it with you that Paul Pogba, the new offer is imminent, the new deal is going to be put on the table at the end of the season. Paul Pogba is happy. He's willing to negotiate and look at what the club is doing moving forward, and it is highly touted across football that he will sign a new deal. Does it mean we'll see him for the full length of that contract? No. There will be conditions to this from Paul Pogba's point of view. Who we buy in the transfer market, how we progress over the course of the next 12 months. And if there is regression or stagnation, I can see Paul Pogba from moving on. But what this really poses, when you look away from Pogba and you look away from everything else, it frees up so much time this summer. We've already seen Cavani agree to a new deal. That's going to be officially announced very, very soon. Cavani staying, Eric Bailly staying, and potentially Paul Pogba staying takes three key problems and major areas of concern for this squad away. Of course, we still need another centre-back. We know this. Of course, in the long term, we need another striker. We know this. But to have those positions filled and taken care of for at least another 12 months, it enables the Manchester United board to focus on the likes of Jadon Sancho. Focus on that CDM role that's so massively required. A better ball-playing midfielder to go alongside the Paul Pogbas of this world. Do I want to see a long-term replacement for each of those players that are looking to sign new deals? Barring Paul Pogba, who I think if we do keep him for another 4 or 5 years, no one's outing him. To a point where Paul Pogba is actually reinvented himself on that left-hand side of the attack, and I think we're seeing the very best Paul Pogba that we've seen at Man United from a consistent point of view. His performances have been talismanic. The captain's material that shone through, the leadership has been impeccable from him. And I expect to see him play tonight in the early stages against Roma. I expect to see him play an integral part between now and the end of the season. And if he gets that well-earned new deal, he'll be crucial to any further development of Manchester United Football Club. Now, I do want your thoughts and I do want your opinions on this morning. Do me a big favour and hit that like button right now. Out on the road, out and about this morning, working on some deals and some future content for you. James here says, Terry, I saw a rumour that if Pogba signs a contract, Pogba will hopefully as well. Do you know what, James? I think with Bruno's got, I think, 4 years left on his contract, so there is no stress around that at all. But Man United are already looking to offer him a bumper new deal. Bruno's being sensible at the moment because Bruno has been very open and honest in saying that he's not really interested in getting a pay increase right now. He's more interested in the development of Manchester United. And I think Bruno wants to see that the club shares the same ambitions as him. There was video footage yesterday of him getting very annoyed in training with Alex Terrace. And I saw people saying, why is he annoyed in training? It's training, relax. The man is a born winner. He just has a different way of operating and expressing that than, say, a Paul Pogba. So the likes of Bruno and Paul Pogba are cut from the same cloth. They're just at different ends of that spectrum in terms of what their persona looks like. Cristiano Ronaldo is the same. Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi, I think, have all the same traits internally. Just some of the time you see Ronaldo's traits on the outside more than on the inside, more public rather than private. And I think that's the difference between the two. But Bruno and Paul Pogba, as part of your attacking and creativity, it's rivaled, but it's unbeaten anywhere else in the world. When you look at the collective two, what their skill set is, their outputs, you can't go out and buy better. There is not better in the world from a creative midfield point of view and goal scoring point of view than a Paul Pogba, Bruno Fernandes combination. It is impeccable, absolutely impeccable. So I think you will see these players sign new deals, and it's also then more encouraging for the likes of Jadon Sancho. Pogba staying, Bruno wants to stay. We've just gone and signed in Didi, or we've just gone and signed Declan Rice. Cavani's here for another year, but we're going to be buying a star next summer. You, Jadon, my guy Jadon Sancho, you are going to be another piece of one of the main jewels in the crown here. We need you. That's a big sell. And Man United are going to need it. We don't have a manager as talented as Tuchel, a manager as talented as Pep or Klopp. So if you don't have a manager that's as talented, that can get as much blood from a stone as those individuals could, you need the very best players in the market. And then if you've got the very best players in the market, and maybe the end of next season, maybe then we part ways with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Maybe then we say, listen, you've taken us as far as you can, we need to move forward, and we go for X. You then have a strong, balanced, impeccable squad to move forward from. With maybe just one hole, and that one hole might be, we need a new striker, something along those lines. It's absolutely fine, sorry. It's one of those things for me where that's where the focus really needs to be. Vibes FC here. We'll get to Vibes FC in a moment. Before that, we did have a super chat I wanted to go to from a man like Josh, Rever Devil Down Under. It says, back in the city, Terry. Work rate higher than Fred. I'm getting shade of Ronaldo vibes. Yeah, look, I'm back in London today in a few meetings this morning, back home later on. And trust me when I tell you all, we've got some amazing content that's currently, it's in the sort of, I don't know what the technical term in the industry is because I'm not industry minded, storyboarding phase where we're kind of fleshing out what it's going to look like. And I think what's really beautiful about it, it all just very much pays homage to the origins of the channel, but it's taking it to that next level. So how you see me right now is part of what is going to come in the future. So that's it. Mustafa says Pogba needs to leave to win more. Do you know what, Mustafa? I understand where you're coming from, but where's he going to go? Where's he going to go realistically? Think about this. Let's break this down. Where else would Pogba go? So, he can't go Man City. He can't go Liverpool. He isn't going to go Chelsea. Manchester United are not going to sell him to any of those clubs. It isn't going to happen. He also loves and respects the club, and I don't think he's going to go to a Premier League rival. That's just my personal belief. Equally, we're not going to sell him to one of those clubs. We're not going to sell him to any one of those clubs. Did you see Real Madrid last night? Awful. Did you see Barcelona this season? Awful. I don't care what they're doing domestically. On a European level, bang average. Bang average. Juve, can they afford him? I don't think so. PSG, maybe he wants to go there. But again, non-competitive league. All the stars in Ligue 1 leave. All of them. Neymar might stay. It looked like Neymar's going to stay. But we spoke about his status the other day. Where is Neymar going to be remembered in the greats of the game? The greats of the game through the history of time, through playing in Ligue 1. Being the main man in Ligue 1 versus being the main man in a big team in Spain, England, Italy, Germany. It's difficult. So where can Paul Pogba go in relation to a club that doesn't need to be rebuilt? It may serve more a purpose to do another year or so at Man United, get a new deal, get a nice pay rise, earn the extra money, and then see how the land lies in 12, 18 months' time with the development of Manchester United, of Real Madrid, of Bayern Munich, of Juve. Then he might think, right, I'll go there. Imagine he now goes to Real Madrid and they go for a 3 or 4 period of stagnation and instability. Suddenly he's at the end of his career, and that move doesn't represent good business. But for me, Paul Pogba is a great deal from a Man United fan's point of view. If he does leave, if he feels that the club lacks ambition, if the club isn't being run well enough, I wouldn't blame him. Doesn't mean I wouldn't be happy if he stayed. Any Chelsea fans that are tuning in, of course, mammoth show last night on the Terrace. Biggest ever Chelsea match reaction show for the Football Terrace. Over 50,000 views now on YouTube. 40-odd thousand views via our partners at Give Me Sport, plus the clips that went out as well. So we're now bordering in on nearly 100,000 views, which is, for us as a channel, is astronomical. So thank you very, very much. And the average view time of people last night was colossal, just under 37 minutes, which is huge. So a massive thank you for all your time and your engagement over the last few days. Nav here says, do you think City and Chelsea will dominate Europe and England for the next 3 to 5 years, leaving Arsenal and United behind? They could do. The problem is, nobody's done that for a long time. Man United and Chelsea were the last two teams to really have a dominant period from 2005 through to sort of 2010. Man United and Chelsea were just head and shoulders above everybody else over that time period. There were individual seasons where there was dips, but they were head and shoulders above everybody else in that time period. Hasn't really been the same since. 2 seasons ago, when Man City won their back-to-back title, finished on 98 points, 1 point in front of Liverpool, you would never have imagined that a year later they would have dipped. After the Conte season with Chelsea, you'd never have imagined that they would have dipped in the way in which they did. But they did. And these things happen. Nobody thought that Liverpool would be staring down the barrel of a 7th or 8th place finish in the league. Do Man City and Chelsea have the minerals, the infrastructure, the leadership, the squads and the management to dominate for 3 to 5 years? Absolutely. But sport has never and will never be a foregone conclusion. An injury here, a fallout there, the emergence of, or the coming together of another team putting pressure on them, the will to keep winning. And equally, I don't think Pep Guardiola is going to stay for another 3 to 5 years at Manchester City. So what would a new coach get out of that squad? On Chelsea, though, from last night, impeccable. Absolutely impeccable. The performance, the togetherness of the team. I honestly think Eden Hazard is absolutely regretting his decision to leave Stamford Bridge. He looks unhappy, he looks overweight, he's continually injured. Status. How sad for football. People always think my criticism of Eden Hazard is me guessing at him. It isn't. I'm a man who loves legacy. I'm a man who loves the idea of status. In terms of when I go to do a job at an organisation, when I work with people, whatever, If I leave and there's a sense of we didn't achieve what we set out to do, it's unfulfilled, I leave disappointed in myself. And I've had a few of those moments in my life, but generally I strive to go into an organisation, to leave my mark, to achieve the goals, surpass the goals even, and leave with a status of, it's going to be sad without him, or we're going to miss him as a business. Or what he achieved was just like sort of unprecedented in its times. That's just me as an individual, what I strive to do. Doesn't always come off, but it's what I strive to do. I look at Eden Hazard and I think to myself, I'm so desperate for a man with his talent, with his skill set, with his ability to retire and be seen and looked at as one of the undeniable bests. But as it stands, Eden Hazard has zero, in my opinion, European pedigree. He has done nothing of any note in the Champions League ever. And that's imperative. That is, when you think of the greats, and I'm not going to go back too far in history, I'm going to go back the last 20, 30 years. When you think of Del Pieros, Inzaghi's, Maldini's, Seedorf, Edgar Davids, Jaap Stam, Andy Cole, David Beckham, Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, Didier Drogba, John Terry, Frank Lampard, Ashley Cole, Ronaldo, Messi, Xavi, Iniesta, Modric, Benzema. Countless others, by the way. They have domestic and they have European pedigree. In spades. In spades. Forget how good or bad they all are compared to one another. It's an irrelevance. That isn't the conversation. I look at Eden Hazard and he must look at this Chelsea team and think, I should be part of this. He should be part of a Champions League final team. He should be part of a team. The irony is Chelsea could have two of their greatest ever moments either side of his time at Chelsea. They won an FA Cup and a Champions League just before he joined, and they could practically win one just after he's left. Not within a season after him leaving. That must feel painful. That must feel painful. And it leaves him with a much lower standing and legacy within the game. With Chelsea fans, they're going to love him forever, and I understand that. I'm talking about the wider game. But with, Chelsea last night, out of this world. And it's the reason why this Paul Pogba news this morning is so important. It's why United need to strive to keep him. And if the Glazers are serious, I don't think they are. Let me just put that out there. If they are serious, allowing Paul Pogba to leave tells us you don't care or you don't know what you're doing. Comment here says, Terry, Real Madrid got robbed 160 million for Hazard. Oh, they did. And I'm not even throwing shade here at Hazard. It is the worst transfer in the history of transfers. 150 to 160 million is the transfer fee. On top of that, you have the wages, the agent fees, the bonuses, the image rights. You are looking at a deal, I'm hazarding a guess here, it's worth 200 to 250 million pound as an investment, if not more, and it's yielded nothing. Plus the medical bill. The medical bills must be so high. Must be so high. And Just Looking says, Chelsea legend always. No, he is, right? He is a Chelsea legend. I'm not denying that. And only Chelsea fans can tell us that. But I don't think he's a footballing legend. I don't think he has the status in football to match the other players. I said, and the worst part is his skill set is better than a lot of them. His skill set is better than a lot of them. I looked at him last night and just thought, oh, come on. Like Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Buffon, they have never won the Champions League, but they had pedigree in the competition. They've had moments, have been part of very good teams. They've taken the tournament by the scruff of the neck. I just feel for him. I genuinely feel for him. Super chat here says, Ollie Outers and Pogba FC fans need to realise that if this contract is renewed, it's down to Ollie more than the club as a whole. And that's very much the talk. And I think for me, if Paul Pogba is legitimately willing to spend more time at Manchester United, more time with Ollie, forget Ollie Outers. I don't care about Ollie Outers. I've got no time for that debate anymore. Pogba FC have got to get behind the manager a little bit more. Doesn't mean you have to think he's as good as Tuchel. Doesn't mean you have to think he's going to win the league. But let's not overreact every single time. Forget not winning. We overreact every time we don't win in the way we want to win. it's a syndrome. It's legitimately a syndrome. Kevin O'Sullivan says Pogba has been bang average overall. Listen, he hasn't been bang average. Manchester United have been bang average. Manchester United have been bang average as a team. In his first season, his chance creation level was sensational. We just fluffed a lot of our chances. Second year, spent a lot of time out injured. That was unfortunate for him. His third season, impeccable. One of the highest goal-scoring midfielders in the world at the elite end of the spectrum. Season after that, again, too much of it, out injured. This season, impeccable. Impeccable. And he's got better and better as the season has gone on. So to say that, I think it's so disingenuous to say that Paul Pogba has been bang average. Paul Pogba was for a couple of seasons, was one of the only real sprinklings of class that Manchester United had. Ita said he would swap Hazard for Paul Pogba. I wouldn't swap Hazard for Paul Pogba right now. Do you know what I mean? I wouldn't do that. Nothing to do with football ability, it's to do with fitness. Comment here says, we need a new manager, and to get rid of these bloody owners, then keep Pogba. See, it doesn't work that way. You've got to keep the players first and foremost, you know. We have to stop thinking about, I know what Ollie outers do. Ollie outers are like, but if Pogba stays, that means Ollie's got more of a chance of achieving the things that I don't want him to truly achieve. And remember, I always differentiate. A lot of people that want Ollie sacked or don't think he's good enough think I talk about them as Ollie outers. I don't. If you want Ollie to succeed, regardless of how you think about him, I don't think you're an Ollie outer. I think people put themselves into the Ollie out category without looking at who they're looking at who's dining at their table, bruv. Like, legitimately, I don't think people often realise who they're chilling with. It's like, are you really their co-equal? Do you really share the same beliefs as them? And I was talking to a guy the other day, because we had a bit of a falling out because he thought that I was always digging him out. And I said, I just like having a laugh on socials. And he says, but you're always having to go at Ollie outers. And I told him about my problem with what I call Ollie outers. And he went, well, I don't believe in any of them things. I said, well, stop calling yourself an Ollie outer, because you're putting yourself into that category with all of them. And, you know, their view is they would rather see Ollie fail than win, because they don't want him to be successful. That, for me, is a syndrome. Like, legit. Do you know what's mad, right? Do you know what's mad? Being up in London. I hear so many posh people here now. Like, when I grew up, I never saw a posh person on road. Now, everywhere you go, oh, hello, hi. Is Julius coming out to play? I don't know why I said coming out to play like these adults say that, but they do. It's just mad. It's crazy. London's a madness now. Like, it's good, though, to an extent. Stop pricing out us Londoners, though. Let's do some more comments here. Hey, Terry, do you think Manchester United, Old Trafford will get repairs soon? I have no faith in the Glazers to do anything for us that we need. I just wouldn't. Zero faith. No faith in them at all. Once people have burnt my trust, I'm a seeing is believing person until I see the change. So I had a person that used to be involved with the Terrace a while ago, and they did a few madnesses towards me, talking a lot of nonsense, just like saying things about me and the Terrace that weren't true. They reached out, they said they'd like to come back, they're going to apologise. So I said, we'll see. And then I just kept a little bit of a watchful eye from a distance, and still the same madness was coming out. And I'm like, see, you ain't really changed, right? You haven't done anything. So until I see that change, I wouldn't ever entertain you being back on the platform, regardless of how big the individual gets. That's how I am as a man. If someone like lies to you, I keep your arm's length until I can see that you've legitimately changed your ways towards me. And with the Glazers, I'm going to treat it with the same level of integrity until I see change in how we run, until I see the holes in the roof at Old Trafford repaired. I ain't believing a damn thing they say. Not a damn thing they say. Not a damn thing they say. It is, to me, commercial PR BS every single step of the way. You do realise, Terry, if the Glazers go, then Ollie will go. Then so be it. That you'll find, as much as I respect As much as I respect Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, as much as what he's done for this club in his career, I think, especially as a player, is amazing. I love him. If a new owner comes in and a new structure is put in place and we improve the level of management, improve the level of coaches, if that's for the betterment of Manchester United, why would I be upset? There's nothing about me that would be upset in relation to my club getting better. I'd like us to do it the right way, but I just want Man United to get back to being a well-run, morality-driven, a fan-centric club. And if that meant that we got a different manager, great. I don't really get what the argument is there. My biggest issue with sacking Ole, because by the way, I don't think Ole's good enough to win us a Premier League or a Champions League. I've said that before. It's just I don't see the point of sacking him until the club's being run right, because no one's going to succeed here. So it's wasted energy. There's a comment here that's from Kevin that says Pogba 3 goals and 3 assists this year in the league. Bruno 16 goals and 11 assist levels. And you have to remember that Paul Pogba for the majority of the season was playing in a deep line midfield role as opposed to a more attacking one. So yeah, excellent from him. No doubts about that whatsoever. Final few comments here. Terry, Solskjaer won trophies in Norway. Why is he not respected for that? People don't want to recognise the league for any particular reason. I recognise it, but I don't look at it as a major achievement, but I recognise it. And the reason I do is this. You can't say, he's got 10 years experience, he's not new to this, and then disregard what he achieved in that 10 years. That doesn't make any sense. That is, what would be the word for that? Stupidity. It would be, it's in terms of debating, you would lose a debate if you threw in those 2 points at different times. So if you say, we shouldn't be giving Ole time because he's got 10 years experience of being a manager, he should be ready. And then on the other hand, say, I don't care about any of his achievements in those 10 years because they weren't in the Premier League or they weren't at a major league. So he doesn't have any experience at major league level. So his experiences outside of the league are not. You don't want to be used for the praise, but you want to use for the criticism. Doesn't make sense. It just don't. I was just sitting there thinking about it again, in real time. It just doesn't make sense. He's got experience, but I don't want to use experience, but it doesn't suit my narrative. That's the syndrome. That's the syndrome right there for you. Imagine. Do you know what I mean? Terry, are there any calling shows? There's calling shows every single day. I'll be home later on today we'll get at least 2 in today. We'll have one around 5 o'clock, and then of course after Arsenal take on Villarreal and Manchester United take on Roma this evening, we'll be going live. Do me a big favour right now though, people, hit the like and the share button. But until next time, take care, goodbye, God bless, and I'll see you all again very soon.